Good evening, Christ First. I hope you're well. I want to bring you a short encouragement and just update you on a few things that are happening, remind you of those things. The first is to remind you that in a couple of weeks' time we've got our virtual talent show, and an example of that will play now. That's the kind of quality of video that you can submit. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing that. But the bar is not too low. But so just something fun, something silly, just to make people laugh, crack a grin, whatever. You can sort of contribute to that, or impress us, show us something that is going to wow us, or just do something that you enjoy. So that's coming up on the 26th of June, 7 p.m. So hopefully all of the family can be involved in that. And then just some things that happen this week. A reminder that on Thursday we've got our lunchtime prayer gathering, 12:30, half an hour. If you're sort of furloughed, or if you're working from home and you're able to sort of sign in on that, then please do. Even just being present and giving your amen to the prayers of others is fantastic. It's good to have another point of connection as a church family. And so that's Thursday lunchtime. Thursday evening again, we have the quiz coming up. I think it's Megan and I this week going to be leading the quiz, and we've got some fun rounds there. To you is based on a story that I read the other day, and I wanted to share it with you. And that was the story of this couple who were driving down sort of a desert motorway or highway, as it were, in America. And as they were driving along, they came across a gentleman who his car had stopped working. He was pulled up on the side of the road looking frustrated and a bit stressed, and so they, being kind souls, they pulled over and offered some assistance if they could. And he explained that he, quite embarrassingly, had run out of petrol because he was in a rush to get to a job interview, and because he didn't want to sort of waste the time to fill up the tank, he thought he might be able to just make it on the small amount of petrol that he had. And so he took that chance, and it backfired. And so they happened to have some petrol with them, and they gave it to him, and he put it into his tank. And they explained to him that a few miles up the road there was a petrol station where he could fill up, and then he could go on and be able to make his journey. And so he got into his car and he drove off, and they sort of had a little chuckle with each other, got back in their car and began to drive. And they passed the petrol station, and they carried on driving, and probably a few miles down the road they saw again the same driver in the same car, and he was pulled over at the side of the road. And they stopped and talked to him, and he said that he had tried to use the small amount of petrol that they'd given him to get to the job interview. He didn't want to waste the time filling up. He wanted to sort of try and recapture some of the time that he'd already lost and get to the job interview. And I think that's an important lesson for us to learn there from that story. I linked to where I read it previously, and it's sort of an encouragement there again to do similar to what I'm encouraging you now. But this idea of actually we need to not be in such a rush to do that we forget to stop and fill up the tank. And Jesus modelled this in his own life. Luke 5, it says this, that after he'd healed a man, it says this: yet news spread about him all the more, so that crowds of people came to hear him and to be healed of their sickness. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. And on Sunday when I was preaching, it was one of the things that I didn't touch on too much, was this idea that actually the reason that Jesus was able to give of himself to sort of serve and to love others so well was his relationship with the Father. He was sustained by his relationship with the Father, of knowing the Father and doing the Father's will. He says elsewhere that he has food that we don't know about, and it's the food to do the Father's will. And so I just want to encourage you, maybe you set out a plan for yourself at the beginning of lockdown to set aside some time and to spend it praying and seeking God and putting fuel in your tank. And so I just want to encourage you as lockdown continues to and begins to ease, but to really sort of make an extra effort to get back into that place of, I'm going to focus on God, I'm going to give this time again to God, and I'm going to focus on spending time with Him and filling my tank, encouraging myself, building myself up, making myself happy in God. And so I just encourage you with that, and pray that you have a blessed evening and a wonderful Wednesday, and hopefully see some of you on Thursday lunchtime and possibly Thursday evening as well. Be blessed.